Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. In today's video, we are unleashing some zipper magic. I will be showing you 5 techniques of using zippers in your projects. We are using them on journal covers. We're also making some pouches. We are using them as part of a journal page in a journal, and it's a fully functional pocket. And they can also be used in card making. These zippers can be functional, meaning that they actually work. They can also be semi-functional, meaning that they sort of work, but halfway. It can also be semi-functional in a sense that the zipper doesn't actually zip up, but it serves as a pocket. Or they can be non-functional, such as these examples here, where a zipper is there, but it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't open, doesn't close. This is not a pocket. This kind of is, but the zipper is non-functional. It doesn't work. You can't do anything with it. The zipper is there purely for aesthetic purposes. As you can see, you can really elevate your paper crafting projects and your journals by using fabric zippers. And the best part is it's very easy to do so. All right, let me show you the 5 different techniques that I used to create all of these projects. Okay, technique number 1 are these pouches, and they're very easy to do, so let me show you how to make them. So you will need a zipper. I'm using quite a small one here, and the size of the zipper will determine how large your pouch will be. So this zipper here is, they're similar. So a shorter zipper obviously gives you a shorter pouch, and a larger zipper gives you a larger pouch. And then the next thing you need is some sort of a paper, scrapbook paper. And it's nice to have 2 sides printed. I mean, one side can be plain. This is sort of plain on the inside, but it's nice when you have print on both sides, because then you can see, you know, it looks quite nice that way. Okay, next thing we want to do is, this happens to be a 12, used to be by 12, but it's been trimmed shorter. So it's 12 inches, and the longer your paper, of course, the wider your pouch is going to be. These are all minor details that you can work out as you go. So when you're folding your paper, you want to kind of fold it to the middle like this, and you want to leave a gap, because what we will be doing, just so you can see, is gluing the paper on top of the zipper like that. How simple is that? It doesn't get any simpler than that. So really, when you're folding the paper down, look at the width of this zipper part rather than the actual zipper here. And that's kind of how much space you're going to need. And then make your fold. So you can see straight away, this is how wide my pouch is going to be. If I wanted it to be narrow, I would trim more of this paper off. But I'm just going to leave it as it is. And make that first fold. Perfect. And make the second fold. Excellent. How easy is that? Okay, now I want to trim this down to the correct size. So you could potentially place something, like if you want to keep it quite deep, but your zipper is very short, you could potentially use another strip of paper, you know, and you could build it up that way and close that gap that way. Anyway, I'm not going to do that now because I don't mind having a shorter pouch. So all I'm going to do is leave a little bit of space here, and then I'm going to trim this pouch, just the bottom of that zipper there. So I'm leaving a tiny little bit of space. And off. And we can already see how that pouch is going to look. So before I continue, I'm just going to ink all the edges. It's not necessary to do so, of course, but it adds a little bit of charm. All right, so now you can see what I've done here, and I really love that look. It doesn't have to be done this way, where you have it open. And also this is functional. The zipper does go all the way down, but I glued these panels down here so the zipper can't go all the way up. Now you can decide at this point what you want to do. If you want the zipper to go all the way up like this, or if you want something like this. And I think I'm going to go for the half open thing here, just so I can show you how to do that. So at this point, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just simply apply glue onto your zipper here. One thing I want to point out is depending on the color of your zipper, the glue that I used on this one actually seeped through the fabric, which is why I ended up applying these bling pieces here, because I wanted to hide the glue. So keep that in mind. If you're using a black zipper like this, that doesn't matter because you won't be able to see that glue seeping out. So I learned my lesson, and what I did with this one, which is also a light color and that glue seeping through would be definitely visible, what I did here is use double-sided tape and then glue on top, okay, which is what I'm going to do now, so you'll see what I mean. All right, so grab your thin double-sided tape and apply it to the zipper. You've already kind of decided where you want the zipper to open up to. Remove the backing. Now that double-sided tape is not going to hold for very long, so I always like to come in with some glue just on top of the double-sided tape, and the double-sided tape prevents the glue from seeping through onto the other side, which will be the visible side. Okay, perfect. And now, probably, I don't know why I'm rushing, but it's probably better to do one side and then do the other side so you can make sure that you're centering it properly. But we can still make it work. And then just close this down. You will have to kind of maneuver things in place. It will all make sense when you're doing it. You won't need any instruction. You just know that you're gluing paper on top of the zipper, just like that. And of course, if you want it to be opening and closing all the way, then you will just stop at this point, wait for this to dry. But I want to do this effect, so I'm gonna keep going. I'll just wait for this to dry a tiny little bit. So while that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and close the bottom. You see that's open there. And simply you can just use, washi tape, for example, wrap around some washi tape to keep it closed. You can go ahead and sew through. You can go and grab the piece that you cut off and pop it down and use that if you wanna kind of keep it cohesive. So I might actually use this piece. Maybe I can do a little wiggly edge or something to make it a little bit more interesting. Apply some glue. Perfect. Turn it around. All right, so we'll seal the pouch. I can then glue that down, but I like the look of sewing, so I'm quickly gonna go ahead and add a simple little stitch down the bottom here, and then we'll come back and do the tops. And done. The bottom of the pouch is secure, it's closed, and now, like I said, you can leave as is, or if you want to create this little, the shirt looks kind of like a shirt, doesn't it? You just fold them down. It's as simple as that. The narrower your piece, the more these collar bits of the shirt are going to be sticking out. You can see the sticking out to the side, and the wider it is, the less chance of them sticking out. So that's another thing. Like if you love that look, go for a narrower piece. You can see here this one is quite wide, barely any sticking out on the sides. And you can use that opportunity when you have them sticking out to the sides to add little charms like this. So for this one here, I'm simply going to fold it down. It's not going to be going off to the sides because it's just too wide. So, but what I do want is for them to be symmetrical. Perfect. I might go ahead and ink this edge here. And then, I like to glue these bits down. So applying glue all over on the inside and down, and that's now glued in place, and the zipper can't go up and down. It can only come up to about there. Next thing I'm going to do is finish it off, and you can have a whole lot of fun with how you're going to decorate this. I really love how this looked. It was just a bit of a long process because I had to use a heat gun and it just took a while, but it's fun to decorate here. Not necessary in my opinion. And then you can do things like down the bottom here, have some lace, and of course this is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go ahead and add a charm onto this bit because it's going to make it look so much better. And then these little bits. So really you can have a whole lot of fun with decorating. Or if your zipper already has a little thing like this one here, this is how the zipper came. Perfect. I didn't have to do too much. I simply added lace here, and I feel like that's enough decorating on this one. My kids just came back from a walk and look what they brought me. I'm just going to pop these two charms on, pop that onto a jump ring and straight on to the zipper, and close and repeat. And done. How cool does that look? We really didn't have to do much, and the amount of embellishing and decorating and all of that is endless, really. You can just keep going on and on and on. But I think staying simple still produces a really beautiful result. All right, so that's how you do that one. Very straightforward, isn't it? You can go like real fancy and do something like this for the bottom. Okay, let's move on to technique number 2, which is this one here. With this one here, you can see that the zipper is open. It's functional. The zipper itself is not functional. And in any case, I like this look. It's open, and then whatever you put behind it, it serves as a pocket, especially beautiful on a book cover like this one here. This is going to be turned into a journal. And the way that you do this technique is you apply your piece of paper on top and you just cut around. So this is good, for example, if you want to have a short zipper here and then the bottom kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Untouched with the scrapbook paper. I don't know if that's making sense. Okay, let me show you how I did it. I might just use a scrap piece of paper just to demonstrate. Okay, let's pretend that your book is this tall and you want to use this small zipper. So your zipper doesn't have to go all the way from top to bottom like mine did, but it can if you wanted to. I'm going to place this zipper somewhere in the center there. This is where I want it for my project. This is how much I want it to be open. If you want it to be more open like this one here, you can then maneuver it in place like this. Once you've determined the placement of the zipper, you go ahead and you trace the inside of the zipper. You trace that kind of line. And now we know that we're not going to be cutting our scrapbook paper to the zipper part. We want to be cutting it onto this side of the zipper, if that makes sense. So you can see my little lines here. Now I know that I'm not going to be making those cuts there. I'm going to move a little bit more to the side. I'll just do it and then it will make sense. And now I'm just going to see, if I pop this up the top, I want to see where the zipper stops. So the zipper stops around there. So I know that I need to stop cutting around there. I don't want to cut my paper all the way down here. I want the paper to be snug, really snug, following that metal part of the zipper. You see that? And then it continues on the other side. Okay, that's actually not too bad for first time cutting, but I can see that I have a little bit more on this side than I do on this side. So then this is the adjusting. I would go in with my scissors and take a sliver off at this side and then check again. And there we go. You see what I did that? I cut. It's not perfect, but just for demonstration purposes. I would go ahead and rub out any marks and then simply apply glue or double-sided tape perhaps first onto the zipper, and then glue onto your paper all around, and then you go ahead and you glue it in place. Once that is dry, you will have this piece, a separate piece that looks like, well, that. And then you go ahead and you glue it onto your book cover or whatever project. I did a little bit of sewing around, and that's just for looks. It's not actually sewn onto the book cover. It's just sewn around, and I also wanted to make sure that that's sewn in place. I'll actually come a bit closer so you can see how snug I have that paper coming to the zipper. Very snug, but then not so snug here. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's definitely not perfect. There's a whole lot of space there, and then again snug here, and then it really doesn't need to be as complicated as it seems. So as I was saying, I did the sewing all around, and then when the time came for me to glue it down onto my book, I used glue and glued these 3 sides down, leaving the top open, of course, to be able to pop something in there. Okay, and that's technique number 2 done and dusted. So I demonstrated my least favorite, which is this one, and my favorite, which was the first one. And it gets easier from here. So technique number 3 is this one here, and the page in the journal. They're done the exact same way. So I love this one because it's a very functional pouch, opens up all the way. All the way to the bottom. It doesn't actually flip out to the sides because that's what a zipper, it's not the way a zipper works. Love the look of this. And then of course the junk journal page in a journal. It's an actual page in a journal. This is the back of it on the other side, and I think it's lovely to use it as the very first page in a journal, because then that's where you can store all of your little bits and pieces that you want to be using throughout the journal. You can have photographs in there and or whatever else you need during. You can even store pens in there. All right, look at this. This is an actual pen. See? And how cool. Maybe even, I don't know, might be going ahead of myself, but you can most definitely have that in a pocket in a journal. Oh! All right, let me show you how to make this. This is actually my favorite technique, I think, and I think it's the easiest. So you grab your chosen piece of paper or cardstock, probably better to use a cardstock, something that's a little bit sturdier. I'm just using this tea-dyed cardstock here, and I might even chop the bottom off. And next thing you need is your zipper. You're gonna love how easy this is. All right, place your zipper on top. Now you want these little bits here to fold in on the other side. I mean, it's not 100% necessary, but that's just how I've been doing it. So this zipper here is perfect size for this paper. You might have a shorter zipper. Let's say your zipper is only this long. It's still fine, it's still gonna work, but your pouch is not going to open all the way, obviously. That's the only thing. So for this type of thing, I like to have a zipper that opens all the way. And of course, if you have long zippers like this, you can make that work as well. This is a very long zipper, but you can chop it off and then fold it in like this. So that's going to be eventually glued or sewn shut, so your zipper, this part is not going to be able to come off. Next thing you want to do is glue your zipper directly onto wherever you want to place the zipper. You might want to do a zipper here and your pocket thing opens up this way. I've just been doing it in the middle. All right, so time to glue your zipper in place. Now this is a light colored zipper, and if I was to use a wet glue, it might seep through and leave marks. Really depends on the glue that you're using. I'm going to use a tiny little bit of double-sided tape. I don't want too much because I am choosing to sew my zipper on. So you can do it that way as well. Okay, now I'm going to place my zipper where I want it. Now I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew the zipper down. So of course I will open this up first and then run it through my sewing machine. I might even, while I'm at it, actually glue these bits down as well. And of course I didn't specifically say, but when you're gluing your zipper down, obviously, as I'm doing here, do it in a closed position rather than an open position. All right, now I'm going to go to my sewing machine and stitch straight down here, down the bottom, and back up the top. Okay, here we go. Here's what I have. I had black thread in my sewing machine, so I just went with that. And then I just played around with some stitches and did a few different things. So what happened here, my thing buckled up because I decided to have a little bit of fun with the stitches, so my foot was pushing the zipper. I think it will still be fine. Ideally, I would want that nice and flat, but I'm not going to redo it. All right, so now in order to make this opening, you unzip your zipper all the way down. You go in with your scissors and you make a cut right there in the middle. All right, and now when you turn it around, you can see better where you want to cut because we want to remove some of that paper. So you just cut as close to your stitching as you can. Well, it doesn't have to be, we're just taking a little bit off so it's not visible when you're opening the pouch. And it doesn't have to be looking nice in there either because no one's going to see in there. The only thing that's visible is when you're opening the pouch. Let's say you want to really look at things, you can see that's how it looks on the inside. All right, and then trim off the other side. Oh, I've just done that side. Okay, trim off the other side. And here we go, that's what we have. And then when you zip this up, perfect. There's the little pouch. Okay, so obviously if you're making a pouch, you want to sew the sides shut. What I did on this one to make it a bit more fun, when you open it, you can see this type of paper inside. It's just scrapbook paper. So I glued some pretty scrapbook paper down here, and then I took it to my sewing machine and sewed the sides shut. And that made this pouch. Put my flower back. And then I decorated it. It's not necessary, but there we have it. That's how you do the pouch. And now a page in a journal, which is, I love that idea. you can see already this is like a page, okay? It's like a little folio that goes into a signature. So in order to make it a functional pouchy kind of thing, you need a backing on this side. Okay, I'm gonna do it so you can actually see. Okay, I've chosen a scrapbook piece of paper that I want to use, and now I'm going to trim it down. I want it to be the same kind of width as my pouch here. So I'm just gonna mark there, and then you can have it higher on both sides, or you can have it the exact same size, totally up to you. I might, for a bit of fun, leave a little bit of a margin at top and bottom, and now I'm gonna trim this down. Okay, that's done, and now ink some edges. I might even ink these edges as well. Okay, that's ready to go. And now, just to keep it in place, I will sew around, but if you're not going to sew around, just apply glue on this edge and the bottom edge, and that's gonna keep this in place. You can even apply glue here as well, but because I'm going to be sewing around, I'm only going to apply glue just on this edge here, just so it stays in place while I'm sewing. Position it where I want it, and then pop this down, and done. Okay, now I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew the sides here and the bottom. Of course, I'm going to be doing the sewing with my page open like this because I don't want to make a pouch. And here we go, done. And that can go straight into a signature. I like it to be the first page in a journal for, like I said before, popping stuff in that you're going to use in the journal, but also because this is quite bulky, I would rather have it at the front than in the middle of the journal somewhere. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but in any case. Now, next thing I'm going to do, add something little here. There we go, a little leaf charm. And I'm thinking this can also be a cover for a journal as it is. It doesn't have to be inside a cover. It can be the cover. So we're making a journal, I suppose. I've prepared some pages. I'm going to go ahead and fold them all in half. Lovely. And now I'm going to make my signature. I have a page here with some fluffy bits on the side. That's nice because it's going to stick out of the journal. All right, let's see. What do we have? It can look something like this. I can trim the pages down, but I'm choosing not to trim the pages down. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Maybe I'll just ink all of those pages all at once. I might add a little paper doily just there to the front. Perfect. And now poke 3 holes and bind the pages using a 3-hole pamphlet stitch going in from the inside. Now that I'm outside, I'm going to go back inside and then down through the 3rd hole. Make it nice and tight and go back in through the middle hole. Excellent. Tighten everything. Chop that off. Tie a knot and another knot and maybe a little bow. Great. Okay, journal is bound. Oh, I love that idea. Instead of using it as a first page, use it as a journal cover. Pop some little fun bits and pieces into the pocket. There we go. But then why stop there? I'm going to decorate it. Maybe something like that might be a bit too much, but I'm going for it. And here we go, a little journal complete. I have exactly 10 folded pages in this signature or in this journal, and great. I love it. I love how it turned out. And I love the idea of using this as a journal cover. Absolutely love that idea. Okay, moving along. Technique number 4 is this sort of thing. This is a card, and basically what we're doing here is chopping off most of the fabric of the zipper and gluing it down. This is a completely non-functional zipper, and it's there only for looks. And what I did here is I painted this in gold and I left the cardstock in its original color. All right, so here we go. Let's say you're making a card. You can be making any project and still use this technique. Doesn't have to be a card, obviously, but let's say you're doing a card and you have your card base ready and you have your zipper ready. So I'm only going to sort of talk you through this process and tell you exactly how I did this one here. So now next thing you want to do is cut as close to the zipper part as you possibly can. So I'll bring this one closer. You can see how I've cut all the way up to here. I cut all the way up to here, and then I trimmed the sides down as well. So here we go. Cut all of that down, all the way to that top as well, and repeat on the other side. Perfect. Okay, at this point, go ahead and get rid of any of the fluffy bits. Now grab your card, actually open it up to whatever, let's say about that. Grab your card. Okay, now decide the placement. So you want it in the middle somewhere, and then these bits, you want them to go to the edge. Something like that. I'm just holding it in place. All right, you see that? That's exactly what I did over here. If you want to do the two-tone thing like I did here, you want to paint and then have your zipper and then the card underneath. Place your zipper where you want it and just kind of trace. Okay, so you can kind of see how I've traced where my zipper is going to sit. At this point, if you're painting, grab your paint of choice, and you can do glitter, you can do all sorts of stuff. I actually did, it's not really coming up on video, but I've got glitter in there. It's quite nice. And then you paint up to that line. Yeah, wait for it to dry. And then grab your zipper. And now you need to glue it down. It's as simple as that. So I used the Art Glitter Glue. You just want some glue that's going to keep the metal down, and you know, this is all plastic here, so something that's strong. And then you start off with perhaps one side only. You apply glue here and down here, maybe let's say halfway up here, and then you place it down in place, wait for it to dry a little bit, and then apply the remaining glue here and glue it down. That will be one side done. And then you grab this part, you apply your glue, and you glue it down. You might also want to do this whole tracing business before you cut all the excess off, excess fabric, because it's easier to kind of keep it in place and to do your tracing, if that makes sense. But all we're doing really, as you can see, we have the zipper, we have the card, and we are gluing the zipper down in an open position down onto the card, and you get this effect. I hope this didn't put you off. Like it's fiddly when I'm trying to show without actually doing it. It would just take so much longer to actually do it. But I hope it didn't put you off, because you can really have a play with this idea. Like for something like this, let's say if this is going to be my journal, we can do all sorts of stuff with this kind of thing. You can have little things poking out here. You can have little, I don't know, let me just grab something quickly. Let's just say, as an example, this is just an idea that popped into my head. I don't know, let's see if you layer maybe some little mini tags, maybe something like that. And then, I don't know, I think you get the idea of little things popping out to make it nicer. Especially if you have some mistakes and it's not turning out the way you like it, you can always go ahead and just do something like this. I love how this looks. It's just an idea. I think I'm getting a little bit sidetracked today, because this is supposed to be about zippers and stuff, but I kind of keep going off on tangents. Okay, here is another journal that I made, and this is technique number 5, where we are gluing 2 pieces of paper directly on top of the zipper. So you grab your zipper. I like to have it slightly open like this. And then you go ahead and you choose your paper. Here you can see I've scrunched up some tea-dyed paper because I really wanted the grunge look. And you know what? I might as well just go with this. Here we go, piece of paper, scrunch it up. And like I said, you don't have to scrunch it up, but if you want to make it look real grungy, just go over it with some ink on the raised bits. And now I'm going to do what I didn't do in my previous one, so I'm just testing the waters here. I haven't done this before. I'm going to rip this up and see if that's going to work. So you can see I popped it down on top of my zipper, and now I have these extra bits of paper. And the good thing with doing the grunge thing is you don't have to strive for perfection. Maybe we can just fold them down. If you can see in the one that I've previously made, I folded it back onto this side. I've even ripped some parts. You can see this here. You know, that's the beauty of grunge. You can be all messy and it's like, looks as if you wanted it that way. I'm just wondering now what will happen if you have a straight edge and then you glue it directly on top of the zipper while the zipper is still closed. I might do the double-sided tape here, make it nice and quick. Bit of double-sided tape that's hanging out that I don't want. I'm just going to push this double-sided tape back in so I don't have that sticky side. Okay, maybe even apply some glue on top of the double-sided tape and glue this down and just hope for the best. All right, so that's one side done. Now I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. Now let's see if it's gonna, but let's say you want it open like this, which is what I did here. I kind of had to curve that paper down, which is why I kept folding it back. But, you know, we can always get creative, so I might do something like this. Why not? Looks like I'm making another journal. I'm just going with the flow here. This is all kind of a little bit unplanned, so I hope that you're still finding it useful, I suppose. Okay, so let's say that's what I want to do. We're going for the grunge, so I'm going to staple this down. That's a good thing with being grungy. You can get away with anything. Do a bit of stapling, why not? I just want to see where this is going to take me. Maybe I can do a tag-shaped journal. This might be a complete fail, but I'm just going to keep going. I am liking how this is looking so far. I'm just wondering if I want to keep this open, if I want this to be like a pocket, or do I want to maybe go this route, like I can have what I did here. This is an actual, that's a postcard. This is all, I think this is Tim Holtz. I'm not sure, someone sent this to me. No, I don't think that looks good. Maybe I can do, I don't know. Maybe I can, what do you think? Tell me what to do. I'm gonna go with that. So now I'm not sure what to do. Do you want to see the process of the, like, do you want me to keep going with showing you what I'm doing here? Do you want me to just do it and then show you what I've done? Because I've already kind of discussed what we're doing. So do I want his little boat outside? What do I want? I don't know. I need someone to tell me. What do women want? Does anybody know? Oh, I'm gonna do that. His hand and his boot will be sticking out. Glue it down. That's the thing with grunge. Just doesn't have to be. Just glue it down. Grunge it up even more. Let's go. I've just added some stitching here because that's going to be glued on the inside, and I want it to look messy because we're going for the grunge thing. And now I'm going to stitch the whole front. I'm going to leave that open and just stitch around the whole front. Here's what we have so far, and now at the back, grunge it up and glue it down, and let's do more stitching. And here we go. Look at this. My machine understood the assignment. Just went a bit crazy there. Perfect. Exactly what we want for grunge. And what do we have? What is this? Who knows? But I'm not finished with it yet. This here is still open, so I'm thinking maybe I can like... Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to do. I do need to stop here because this can go into oblivion. Okay, I'll just add this last piece. I mean, where do I want to put it? Anywhere I put it will look good. It looks good there. It looks... I'm just going to go with this. Oh, maybe pop some black thread in there. Yes, a blob of glue. All right, one last thing. And then maybe... And then I just keep going because I keep thinking that I need something more. And... what's this? A little sentiment. Do we need that? Maybe a little bling like that in there. No? What's this? An earring. How would that look? If I remove this bottom part, oh, that just broke off. That's fine. We're going for grunge. We shall accept. And there we go. I'm gonna stop here because we can go into oblivion, and the purpleness of the zipper really doesn't go anymore because we did this whole grunge thing. So it's perfect. This kind of worked out perfectly, didn't it? I love having, you know, when you have little things and you don't know what to do with them, and you just chuck them into a little thing that's on your desk, and you always find something in there. It always seems to work perfect. Even this little bead would go really well with this. But in any case, I made a thing, and I really quite like it. It's not perfect. It's very grungy. This is kind of like sitting in a not a great position, but you know, I am quite happy with how this turned out. And what is it? It can be a page in a journal again. It's made, I love that. Love how that look. Can be a little insert, a little extra with the journal. I don't know. Can be like this. Imagine making a whole journal in this grunge style, and then this lives at the front of the journal. I like it. So this really took off in a direction that I didn't plan. I really didn't plan on doing all of these projects. I just wanted to show you all the different techniques. So, oh my goodness, if you're still here, high five. High five for being here. And let's quickly just recap, just so I can feel like I've done what I intended to do. Okay, technique number 1. is folding your pages in and gluing them on top of the zipper, and you can create pouches and all sorts of different projects. Technique number 2, cutting around the zipper and gluing it down and doing all sorts of things with it. Technique number 3 is gluing the zipper on top of your paper and then cutting a slit, and then you can do all the stuff we discussed. Technique number 4 is the card, and you're cutting off most of that fabric part of the zipper, and then you're gluing that in an open fashion down on your card, and then you can play around with the painting and all that sort of stuff. And technique number 5 is gluing 2 pieces of paper on top of the open zipper. Alright, I really hope that you got some inspiration from today's video. I hope you're going to be using those zippers. Let me tell you, I've been wanting to use zippers in junk journals since I started this craft, and this is the first time that I actually went ahead and did it. And I really love all of the different effects that we can achieve, and I love bringing this element into our junk journaling. Let me know if you've done this before and if you have some other techniques that I haven't tried. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!